All right, looks like I'm live. Happy Friday, guys. I get it. It actually probably sucks right now for so many people. Things haven't been good, but let's try to be as optimistic as we can be. And there's a lot of stuff that's not going on right now and stuff that is going on right now. So let me start off real quick. I put not an election 2020 in the title for a reason, just like I did last week. The election's not over yet. They're still counting votes. There's many, many things. And I've already done a stream this week on my other channel. So make sure you check that out if you want more election coverage stuff. It's called Patriot EDU. And it's on the recommended channels list of my main channel here. And next week, I'm going to have a special guest on. And she just did an awesome video yesterday. Her name's Tap Rack and Roll. If you didn't see that video yet, put it on your watch later list for later tonight or tomorrow. She knows a lot more about the voting machine stuff and the software than I do. And I'm going to look forward to going through some of that stuff with her next week. So let me get this out of the way. President Donald J. Trump is the president of the United States right now, no matter what. Now, if you watch the media, which I almost suggest you don't right now, the mainstream media, because it's literally insane, but you may want to. It's up to you. They're going to say, he's not the president. He's already lost. Well, he's the president no matter what until January 20th. And it's going to be tough. I'm just being a realist. It's going to be tough, but there's still several different possibilities and legal avenues that he will remain the president through 2020 and into 2024. So by no means with what I'm going to talk about tonight am I saying it's over whatsoever. Here's a way to think about it. When you get in your pickup truck and you're going to work or whatever, you have 4 tires, maybe 6 if you have a dually, and you don't expect them to go flat. You're expecting those 4 tires to get you down the road. So you don't just leave that day saying, I'm going to get a flat tire. No, you say, I'm going to go from here to work. But what if you get a flat? Okay. You carry that 5th tire as a spare. So I think, being a conservative, I'm always trying to be prepared and thinking about things. And although I think Trump did win the election, I think it was rigged. I think there's notable cases, documented cases of fraud beyond belief. And the Supreme Court still has to weigh in. They still have to do the recounts and the audits. There's still so many things. So the election's not over. There has been no winner of the 2020 presidential race. But what if Biden does win? Look, he's not gonna, okay? He's not gonna. I'm not conceding anything. But what if he does? Did anyone start thinking about that at the beginning of this year? Did you guys start thinking about it maybe in August, September, October? Did you start thinking about it on November 4th? Are you thinking about it right now? So everyone's going to have a different frame of mind of when they first started thinking about this. But a couple weeks ago, I did a stream talking about his gun control plans, the Harris-Biden administration. Because let's face it, he doesn't even know where he's at. He's just in it for the money, for the prestige, for the whatever. The fix is in. I get it. But they promised the most comprehensive draconian gun control plan, bill that I've ever seen. And I also remember back, I hate watching it, but I do it so you guys don't have to. I remember watching the presidential debates for the primary, the Democrats debating each other to try to, become the final candidate. And I remember Kamala Harris saying that if she were to get nominated, that she would either have Congress pass this most comprehensive gun control plan you've ever seen, literally, essentially almost Australian style, which is what Hillary was for too. So we wouldn't be surprised. This is the way of the modern Democrat Party, unfortunately. And when someone tries to be even a little bit moderate, let's say a Tulsi Gabbard, they kick him to the curb and they eat him up, and that's why she's retiring from Congress. So, look, you're either a radical leftist, socialist, communist, Democrat, or your career's short and the party will eat you up, is basically where we're at, unfortunately. But I remember Kamala, probably the most extreme of all of them, even though they're all essentially terrible. You guys get the point. It's like you're sitting there splitting hairs. Like, they're all as bad as it could be. But she was even a little bit worse than all the rest. And she promised within her first 100 days that if Congress wouldn't act and pass this comprehensive gun control, that she would do it by executive action. And I know what you're thinking, but she can't do that. Really? Until or unless she does. Because you can't, dead people can't vote, but they did. All ballots are supposed to be handled completely equally, right? We have the 14th Amendment, but they weren't. Trump was ahead in all these states in the middle of the night at 4 a.m. When they said, go home, nothing to see here, we're done counting. Michigan, they subtracted votes from Trump, gave them to Biden, like we just saw this happen. Wisconsin, Pennsylvania, Nevada, Arizona, Georgia. It happened in many states, but you can't do it. It can't. Look. Laws basically only keep good people honest. A lock on your door only keeps a good person honest, but a criminal will break that lock. Criminals break the law by definition. So just because they, quote, can't do it, does that mean they won't? I don't know. Technically, if you look at the Second Amendment, and this is what I believe the Second Amendment means exactly what it says. A well-regulated militia being necessary to the security of a free state. Right? The right of the people to keep and bear arms shall not be infringed. And to me, shall not be infringed only means one thing. It doesn't say they can't take a lot of them or they can't take many or you can. No, it says shall not be infringed. So that means one scintilla of gun control is illegal and they can't do it. But we've had gun controls most notably since 1934 and onward. We've had executive actions, many of them by Republican presidents, and to be fair, by the current sitting president himself. So if you go on the premise of this, she can't do it. Kamala cannot ban guns in the first 100 days. She just can't do it. It's unconstitutional. Well, then you are probably ignoring what's happened in the past, because every gun control law that's ever been passed, they literally can't do as mandated by the Constitution, because the Constitution didn't give us our rights. The Second Amendment didn't grant us rights. It didn't give us anything. It simply was, don't tread on our rights that are natural rights, that are endowed to you by your creator, whether it's the Christian God or a pagan God, because we do have religious liberty in this country, and I respect that. Whatever created you, these are natural rights that supersede men, that supersede governments. They already existed, but the Second Amendment was written there. Notice it doesn't say we give you the right to keep and bear arms, because if it gave it to you, what giveth can taketh away. Think about that. A government, a founding document that never gave us anything. It literally said, shall not be infringed, but there's been thousands of gun control laws ever since that they quote unquote can't do, but they did. Now, for those of you just joining 5 minutes late, President-elect is neither right now Joe Biden or Donald Trump. There is no president-elect. The sitting president of the United States is Donald Trump. And election 2020 is not over, okay? Like I said earlier, but you drive down the road expecting your 4 tires to get you there, but you carry a spare just in case. So, while I'm not conceding anything, we should think about it. We should think about what might be happening. And I'll name some things right now. And like I said, I don't know if she's here right now, but Tap Rock and Roll did a great video talking more about the intricacies, and I think we're going to pick up on some of that again next Friday. But right now, I want to think about, what are you guys doing to get ready? Well, I tried to help you guys back in March and said with this flu, because let's face it, this flu, they call it many things. I call it the Kung flu. You can call it whatever you want. I don't care. But this was put here, okay, to fundamentally change our country, to destroy this republic, and to get people to where they would fall in line, comply out of fear. Fear has been used to get all of the totalitarian dictatorial regimes that we've seen in the past. That's what brought them to power, was fear. And then some kind of unity to overcome this fear. And usually it was manufactured. And this year it's no different. So really, no matter how you look at it, unfortunately, I don't know if there's any man or woman alive that could have beat Trump this year. But I think the flu did beat him. And the flu beat everybody. This flu's taken over this country so much. And I knew it. As soon as it started in March, you can go back and look at these streams just like we're doing right now. A lot of the same people. And I said, buy ammo, guys. Buy ammo. It hasn't gone up yet. Then the next week I said, it's only gone up 25 cents a box. Buy it. Then it went up $1 a box. And I said, buy it. I said, it's gone up double. Buy it. I tried. But this isn't going to be one of those I told you so things. Because if it was, I'd say, all right, guys. I bought the ammo when I told you guys to. I'm set. Haha, sucker. Thanks for watching and have a good one. But I'm not going to do that. I'm not going to do that. So, yeah, you should have already bought it. But if you didn't and you're just now getting into guns and you're just now choosing to exercise your Second Amendment, look, the Second Amendment was given to you by your creator, just like it was given to me, and you're just as entitled to it as I am. So I'm going to try to think of some different plans, give you guys some suggestions. And, of course, down in the chat, it's always such a good chat. I'm sure you guys can help each other out, too, if anyone has any questions, or you might just think of an idea better than I would. So, ammo. It started to sell out literally now about 8 months ago. By the time it got to July, things were getting pretty bad. Then as the election heated up, it even got worse. Now it's to the point where I was on, some viewers told me about it. I was on Federal's site. And they had 9mm for $22 a box. Limit 2 boxes. Now, keep in mind, you don't get free shipping unless you spend $1.50. So you were going to have to spend another, I think it's $12 or $14 shipping on top of that. So 2 boxes of 9, 44 plus 14 shipping, $58 out the door. It sold out in 24 hours because now we're to the point where $29 a box plus tax, of course. So let's say $30 a box is actually considered one of the cheapest and only places you could get it on all of the internet. And some of you are probably going to chime in tonight, and that's awesome. I wish you guys all had this type of local gun shop. There's still guys coming in saying, my local gun shop still has 9. And they're still selling it for $11, $12 a box, and nothing's changed, and the shelves are overflowing. Now, that's hard to believe. Not that I don't trust people. I believe you guys. But at the same time, that's like 1 in a million. But for most of us, for virtually all of us, the local gun shops are out of 9mm. They're out of 223, 5.56. They're out of 380. Many other cartridges. So, are you guys thinking about this? 9mm. That's going to be tough. What if you're a new gun owner and you've never even fired your gun even once? Well, I already have quite a few videos, and my Taurus playlist is where a lot of them landed, and others, showing new gun owners you can do a lot to get into your firearm by just taking it apart, putting it back together, right? Dry firing it, manipulating the slide, snap caps, dummy rounds, all those things work awesome, and you should be doing that right now more than ever. But basically, right this second, if you need a firearm for whatever reason, whether it's to protect your country against a tyrannical government, whether it's to protect your family at home, whether it's a target practice for whatever reason, you might have to start thinking about things just a little bit outside of the box, away from 9mm, 5.56, 308, 380. Even 22 long rifle now is basically impossible to find. Do you have an old Mauser sitting at home? Because I'll tell you what, I love the Mauser Nagant rifle. Look, you guys know I'm not a gun snob. You've been here this long. 7.62 by 54R is an awesome round. I still seen some of that for sale, for example. It's actually a lot more powerful than 223, 5.56, obviously. And it depends on the loading. Debatably, maybe a little more powerful than 308. But I'm not trying to get into a caliber debate right now. Speaking of old and good rounds, the 8mm Mauser is a round I also love. I've seen some of that for sale still. There's tens of millions of Mausers in this country. Might be something that's pretty cool to shoot, right? For handguns, have you guys thought about 45 ACP? I know a lot of people went away from it because it doesn't have as high of a mag capacity. I get it. The rounds are a little longer. Less mag capacity because they're fat. I mean, we're looking at 45 instead of approximately 38 caliber or a 355 bullet with 9mm. So the capacity's down, but the 45 is still a really good round for self-defense. And I've seen that available just a little bit, even though that's getting hard to get. What about 7.62 by 25 Tokarev? Now that's an awesome little round. And I see right now on one of the popular sites that sells surplus guns, they have the Chinese up until a week ago, and right now you can still get a Romanian TTC for, I don't know, maybe $239, something like that. I get it, it's only single stack. But a lot of people are in the position right now where they're going to have to start thinking outside of the box just a little bit. So I'm trying to just, think of ideas and brainstorm with you just a little bit. I would carry the 7.62 by 25. In my opinion, the only thing wrong with it per se is they haven't developed as many bullet technologies, right? There's a limited amount available for self-defense. A lot of times it's just going to be more of an FMJ, but on its face, if you're going FMJ for FMJ, your 7.62 by 25 is more powerful than probably any of the 9mm plinking ammo that you're shooting. So that's another good one to look at. And you can get the guns, right now, actually, which is kind of crazy. So I've noticed a lot of the milsurps haven't gone up as much as others. For some reason, the Tokarev pistol is very affordable still. Reptile guys with a super chat. How's it going, man? Thank you. I appreciate it. He says, Dominion servers being seized in Germany by U.S. Army forces. Have you heard anything? I have not heard anything. I've not heard anything about that at all, man. I've been out working all day today. That's why I was, 7 minutes late for the stream tonight. I was out there doing a fall cleanup, covered in dirt, sand, leaves, all that stuff. Needed to take a shower, and here I am. So if it's something that just broke tonight, I have not yet heard about it. Okay, so let's go on to more modern cartridges. A little more modern than the 54R and the Tokarev round, because these are really old. Look at the M91 Mosin. That's essentially the birth of the 7.62 by 54R. But don't discount it because it's still used in militaries today. And it's still an awesome round. It really, really is. So don't discount it. There's some AKs chambered in it. The PSL. Vepper made some offerings. So still, again, I don't really even want to knock it. I would, quote, fight with it. I'd take it to war if I needed to. I'd use it just like I did 308. Literally, wouldn't even blink. That's just my personal opinion. And somebody might have an argument with me on that. I get it. There's going to be your 7.62 NATO is greater than, but for all intents and purposes, you're good. You're good to go. Mateo's saying he pulled his Mosin out the other day and he loves the 174 grain. Exactly. And there's several different offerings. But let's go just a little bit more modern. 7.62 by 39. Now, just the other day, AIM had it for like $6.50 a box for Wolf. Yeah, I get it. It was like $3.80 a box from the same site. Go back to those streams if you want to torture yourself that I did back in March and April. It's tough. But I'm still seeing it a little bit. I still am. I saw Outdoor Limited had it for like $8 a box. That's tough. 40 cents a round. But 7.62 by 39, come on, that's an awesome cartridge. Actually, I'm going to get some haters, guys. Ugh. Look, I either have to start a caliber war tonight or I can talk about the election, one of the two. I'm trying to get off the election for just a few minutes, though. In my opinion, I like 7.62 by 39 more than 5.56. And I am more of an AK guy than an AR guy. So to me, there's, of course, nothing wrong with the 7.62 by 39. Because I can't do it here because it's a live stream. And hi, Susan. I sent Susan some nice flowers today. I had to pay a lot extra. I said, I don't just want the long thorns on them. Dozen white roses like usual. I want the extra, mostest, longest thorns that nobody's ever even seen before. And I had to pay extra. But even with that, I still can't touch guns in live streams. But I'm going to do a video like, what guns does 2A EDU have ready right now to either fight off this dang flu or mostly peaceful protesters that are in fact rioters that come to cities and want to burn your town down and burn your house down. And I'll give you guys a little sneak peek since we're hanging out tonight. It's going to be an AK, and it's going to be a 7.62 by 39, and it's the same model. Now, I can't give it all up or you won't come back and watch the video, but I have several of this one very famous model of AK, and I've got one at my shop ready to go. I've got one at my house ready to go, and one in an unspecified location in case I have to leave both places, to be honest with you. So you guys know I've got a couple guns, maybe not as many as you guys do, but I have access to a lot of stuff here. And I'm telling you, 7.62 by 39 is ready to go. So do not forget about that round. Now, unfortunately, AKs have gone up a ton. Have come up a ton, right? But there's some ARs. If you're an AR guy and you just really like that platform better, there's, AR-47s, they'll call them, or otherwise known as an AR-15 chambered in 7.62 by 39. There's actually hunting style rifles chambered in 7.62 by 39 that are actually do quite well, that are very accurate. So I'm definitely going to recommend that. If you don't have any of this yet, this is a 7.62 by 39. Be definitely something I'd look into. Battle-proven cartridge. It's been used in combat. In fact, there's more AKs that have been in theater and in combat than any other firearm, more than the M4, M16 group, and it's not even close. Now, this isn't me being anti-American. This is just being a realist. These NATO calibers, these common America's calibers, the world's caliber, whatever you want to call them, 7.62 NATO, 5.56 NATO, 9mm NATO. It's kind of funny. I'll get into this in a second. Kind of a paradox that's happened. And it just shows you always need to be eclectic in your ways and stay varied, because conventional wisdom, I get it. It's lied to you, hasn't it? And it sucks. So that's why I'm trying to help you guys just maybe think outside the box, give you some offerings that I found are tried and true and that I'll trust my life with and that I do. But before I do that, Rockford, AKs, you finally came to the dark side? Finally? You better be joking, man. I've been into AKs a long time, guys. Probably just as long as almost anybody here. So I've got all those old Chinese pre-bands, not because I'm wealthy, because I wasn't wealthy then and I'm not wealthy now, but back in the 90s, look, I'm not old enough to have been buying them in the 80s, but back in the 90s, they were the cheapest, and now they're amongst the most expensive. But I have a couple AKs. I've been around them quite a while, and they've been my go-to for a long time. But you guys remember, literally up and until the flu came in, the pandemic, some people call it GovDid-19, GOVDID-19. They call it so many things. The Kung Flu, just so we're on the same page. Before it came, ammo was the cheapest it had been in years. It was cheaper than before Obama's first election by far. By the way, if you guys are new to guns, trust me on this. Even if there wasn't this dang flu, and we weren't watching the communists and Marxists literally stealing our country right in front of our face, even if that wasn't going on, in every election year I've ever remembered, all this stuff goes up in price, and there's at least to some extent a shortage, right? Pretty much. So we've got like 3 things going on right now, probably even 4. So we have this flu. Did anyone think they could use a firearm or ammunition to shoot this microscopic thing out of the sky? Of course not. But they did realize right away that while the government would lock you down, while the government has no problem impairing your breathing, while the government has no problem completely tanking the economy and putting people out of work, they're quick to remind you that they have no duty to protect each individual citizen. And then when these protests turn into riots, and many of the peaceful protests did turn into riots, that when you needed the police, they were called back. Stand down. Just calling a spade by the Democrats, the governors, the city councils, and the mayors. In many instances, people saw it out in the street, and they heard the ambulances, and they saw the fire, and they knew what was going on. So people basically started buying guns at record paces from this flu because they just don't trust their government. And that probably means you guys are smart. Because I certainly don't trust the government. I never have, but I certainly trust them now than I ever have before. Also, it's an election year. Big time. Now, this sickness has not only made it where the economy's been tanked, but there have been social distancing, shutting businesses down, essential, non-essential businesses. Yeah. That's their words, not mine. That's a whole nother rant I could get into. I'll do that another time. I think I already have. So we have big time supply and demand problems. The demand is like 1 million times more than the supply. In fact, I found out that Federal is 1 year behind in their manufacturing, which is about roughly 1 billion rounds. Federal Ammo, part of a huge conglomerate, is 1 billion rounds behind on ammunition right now. So, if we went back to March and said, hey, look, if you looked at how much ammo was available, what the prices were then, compared to now, it almost seems like, well, I'm so late to the game, why even bother? Well, here's the thing. Everything isn't all or nothing in life. And if you're just getting into it now, it sucks. I get it. But you know what? It's not too late. Will there be a time when it's too late? Maybe. Because my prediction, and I'm going to tell you guys right now, is ammo prices are going to continue to go up. The rest of this year, guaranteed, no matter what. Probably no matter what in 2021. And I've conceded nothing. And I've seen just as much rigging and fraud as you guys have. And this whole election's been a sham. That's why I put not an election 2020. I don't call this an election. I call this the Marxists have come in and they've used a virus and they've used many things and they're trying to take over our country. That's what's going on. Okay? So one more time, me conceding nothing and it's not over. And I perfectly understand how it works with the Supreme Court. I understand the state's legislators actually send their electors to Washington. And that there is a such thing called faithless electors. I get all that. I know that if they can't actually certify a winner of 270 votes by a certain date, that the United States Congress picks, the House of Representatives, and it's not just a majority rule, it's actually by each state. And I totally get it that there's probably 28 states right now that'll have a Republican vote and 22 that will have a Democrat, and Trump can still win that way too. And he can still win outright by them busting. Look, there's a million paths to victory for Trump right now. But like I said earlier, we don't plan on getting a flat tire when we go to the store. We plan on not getting one until it happens, and that's where that fifth. Here's where we're at right now with this election. And with this flu. You look at New York right now. They're going back into lockdown mode. They're right in the process of it as we speak. Illinois is working on it. Any state with a Democrat governor is getting ready to lock you down again, including my state of Michigan. So all of the reasons earlier this spring that there was an ammo shortage are still going to keep on perpetuating. They're not going to ever let this virus go. Once they've gotten this much power, more power than they deserve. People like Governor Gretchen Whitmer, who has way more power than she deserves, and many of your governors, they don't want to let it go because that's what these people do. The mistake was made to give them just a little bit too much power, and then it turned into a lot too much power. Everything you've seen in 2020 that's caused this ammo shortage and gun prices going up is going to keep going up. Even if President Trump does, in fact, win, and I believe he should win, I believe he did technically win, all of that. Stuff's not just going to instantly be. Let's just say they say, hold on a minute. We found all of the stuff, right? We found it all. President Trump is going to continue to be and will be reelected for a second term of presidency. It's still not going to be over right now. Federal ammo is behind 1 billion rounds. Okay? All of the warehouses are empty. Overseas factories, again, the same thing. They're all going back on lockdowns again. Look how locked down Europe is right now. And that's where a lot of our ammunition does indeed come from. So, look, this is hard to explain because I don't want you guys to get mixed signals from me. I think Trump won, but he was cheated. So, but even if Trump does actually remain in the White House, it's not going to get better tomorrow. It's not. What if it's decided by fraud, by cheating, by the Supreme Court going against their oath? Look, they've cheated this far. If they've been able to cheat this far, why do you think all of a sudden in the last, they've been running a marathon? If they've cheated for the first 20-something miles, why would they in the last home stretch all of a sudden not cheat? See, I want to be optimistic, but we need to be realists when it comes to protecting our family, protecting our country, right? I can't guarantee you that Trump is going to remain president. Yeah. And I'm not talking out of both sides of my mouth. I do believe President Trump won, but that still doesn't mean he's going to get put in office. And I'm very optimistic about the Supreme Court, and you should remain optimistic too. And we need to keep saying Trump won. We do, but at the same time, I can't guarantee you they've rigged it this far that they won't be able to rig it all the way to the bitter end. And if Joe Biden does become president, he doesn't even know where he's at. The actual president will be Kamala Harris. And if you think it's bad now, it's going to probably get 100 times worse. I'm exaggerating. It's probably going to get 1,000 times worse, if that's even possible. So if you're still on the fence and you're thinking about it, look, I'm not going to tell you you have to own a gun, because if I told you you had to own a gun or you had to own a certain amount of ammo, then I'd be just as bad as the person that says you can't own a gun, right? Or that you should only be allowed to own a certain amount. So let me be very clear. I'm not telling any of you that you should buy more ammo. Not at all. Whatever you want. But if you think you might need some, as bad as it is, I'd be trying to get a little bit right now. Pay your bills and feed your family first. I get it. I get it. Feed your family first, but I would say beyond feeding my family and keeping a roof over my head, I would have something. Yeah, I get it. Steel case 7.62 by 39 and $8 a box does suck. But if you have none, or you have so little you're afraid to even shoot it at all. Look, you have to function test your guns, guys. I'm not saying you have to burn them down like on these YouTube videos where they get the new gun and shoot 1,000 rounds to it. I'm not suggesting you do that, but you have to function test your guns. I bought, it was $155 after rebate, my Taurus G2C, my first one. Never had a problem with it. None. I bought a gun for $2,000 before that never fired a shot and had to be sent back to the factory because it never worked out of the box. So you have to test your gun. If you can't afford $8 for a box of 7.62 by 39, or you can't buy one box of 9mm, no matter how much you have to pay for it, well, then you're going to have to just come up with alternate means. And there's other channels that discuss that. Look, I don't know martial arts. I don't know how to make improvised weapons out of sticks and stones, which I'm not diminishing those. I know those do work and people do that. No, this is more of a firearms channel. Too bad I can't show guns during this stream, or I'd love to tonight. That's what I really wanted to do. That's what I've been wanting to do until Susan said no. And we have to listen because there's really not any other alternatives to YouTube right now. I mean, not viable ones, for example. Someone's going to say, but hold on, man. Have you heard of this? Yes, I'm probably on it. I'm on 10 of them. I think one of them I have 2 subscribers on. One of them I have about 70. Another one I have maybe 60, 40. Look, I'd get on there still and make a video if I only had 2 followers, but not to the extent I do now. I just couldn't do it. It wouldn't even be worth it, right? To sit there and put out videos where you spend so many hours of your time preparing for them, doing them, editing them, and then 2 people watched only to find out that one view was you watching it yourself just to make sure it, played, and then the other one was your wife. So you guys know what I'm saying. We're on YouTube. This is where we're at right now. I do have a Parler account, just so you guys know. A lot of people ask me, hey, man, why won't you join Parler? Well, I did join it back in June. And until I put a post up on YouTube, I had 18 followers. Why? I know why. Come on. It's way easier to complain to me why I'm not on Parler than it is to actually go to Parler and type in 2AEDU. So it was funny. I had 100 people, literally over 100. I'm exaggerating, probably between 100 to 150. Okay. I was being conservative with, I guess. Man, you got to get off of Twitter. You got to get off of this. You got to go to Parler. Why aren't you on Parler? And I'm like, man, I know for a fact that 90% of these people Didn't go look because 10 times more people asked me to go on Parler than I had followers on there, right? So it's just kind of funny. So I'm on there, right? Anyways, I digress. If you need a little bit of ammo, you better get it. Because while we need to stay optimistic that Trump won, and we need to be calling our state legislators and telling them that, because there's still processes that Trump needs the public behind him. What if Kamala Harris does become the next president of the United States? Look no further to executive actions with a stroke of a pen, as Barack Obama did with the 7 and 6. It's called 545 by 39. Similar-ish to 556-223. I love 545 by 39. But the plentiful surplus, it was called the Russian 7 and 6, was banned with the stroke of a pen. Right? Chinese firearms and ammunition were banned with the stroke of a pen by President Clinton. We had 2 terms of Bush. We've had 1 term of Trump. Since then, and they have not rescinded that order, although I would note it would have taken 1 stroke of George Bush's pen or 1 stroke of Donald Trump's pen to repeal those executive orders of both Obama and Clinton, but he did not do it. And I have no anticipation that any future president will ever repeal any type of gun control, to be honest with you, whether they're Republican or not. It's just a fact. How many Republican presidents have we had since Reagan that didn't repeal any of the draconian gun control that Reagan did? And that the first George Bush did. And that Obama did and that Trump did. Stroke of a pen, Kamala Harris. Now it would be Biden. They'd hold his hand, and you guys get my point. I understand how it works. The VP can't, but trust me, she'll get him to sign whatever she wants done. He'll be forwarding her agenda on. And I think that's already been made completely known. Right? 1 stroke of a pen, all of the Russian stuff. It's called Barnaul. We get it packaged under Tula ammo, Herders, Red Army Standard, Wolf. 1 stroke of a pen, they can say we're banning all Russian ammo. There goes all the steel case. Now, they don't just make that in combat rounds. They also make that, 9mm, 308, 30-06, 223. There's a lot of stuff coming in here. This comes in from Mexico. They could ban all Mexican ammo. There goes one of the largest suppliers of 22. This comes out of the Czech Republic. Okay. Look it up, guys. Through the Department of Commerce, the president, with a stroke of a pen, can ban imports on basically anything they want. For basically no reasons. Little reason, no reason. Yeah, it's true. Now, meanwhile, like they usually are, the Democrat Party is usually the party of war. And Joe Biden's voted for every war he could. And he was part of the Obama administration that just kept sending our boys and girls over to Iraq and Afghanistan to try to be the world's policemen. Trump made peace in the Middle East recently without firing a shot and promised the rest of the troops to be home by Christmas, with very few staying around for consulting and advisory roles, but virtually all of them come back, right? Under the Harris-Biden administration, if it happens, and if you're just joining, Trump has not lost. You can go back and watch previously if you want to know my full view on it, right? He has not lost, but if it's the Harris-Biden administration, we're going to be at war. You know what that means? Call federal, they'll tell you. Call any of them. Military and police get the first pick. They get the priority on all the ammunition contracts. Right now, for whatever reason, the United States government, they always do and they always will. Whether Trump's president, Harris, Biden, it doesn't matter. They just keep stockpiling more and more and more and more and more. It's called the military-industrial complex. Eisenhower was the first one that started calling it out, and then no one really talked about it until President Trump did. The military-industrial complex. To put it in English, there's big money to be made when you're at war. And a lot of wars are started just in the name of money. Look at Halliburton and Dick Cheney. It's both sides of the aisle. Look, it's bipartisan. Basically, for the most part, except for Trump, who is just basically a populist more than even a Republican, if you, quite frankly, a lot of the Republican values, but not as good on guns as I would have liked to him have been. But besides him, this is just a big industrial complex. It's called the military-industrial complex. They're buying up all the primers right now. So with a stroke of a pen, they can ban all the foreign ammo. And then with another stroke of a pen, they can tell all their undersecretaries, alphabet soup agencies, we need the Secretary of the Navy. We want you now to make your status quo of ammo go up 30%. And they do the same thing to the Army. You know, all their Pentagon, what you would call top brass, right? That work directly underneath the president, who is the commander-in-chief. They can do all that with order. They can order them to up their stockpiles. We could be back into perpetual war within the Middle East within weeks or months, and I'm no doubt we would be. Right? For those of you that don't think a president can just literally unilaterally ban whatever they want, you just got to do your research. Look up the 7N6 bullet ban, ammunition ban. Look up the Clinton China ban. It was not just firearms. That's why there's no more cheap SKSs or cheap AKs or Makarovs or 1911s or even the M14 clone that they made. They're gone. I mean, they're here, the ones that people own beforehand, but the prices are 10 to 50 times more than they used to be. Now, here's what else they can do with a stroke of a pen or just a phone call. And we did see it happen, even in this past administration, unfortunately. Just to show you guys it can happen, but it'll be much, much, much worse. Much worse under the Kamala Joe administration, if they do. They didn't win, but look, they could not win and still become president because that's the country we live in now. But how many people I see that are willing to wear masks everywhere they go and willing to just watch their business go down and to watch all the death and suicide and not do anything to fight back whatsoever? I'd actually be surprised if I saw any justice served in the near future. Because normally you reap what you sow. And tyranny has been being sown. And the seeds of Marxism are being sown. And bad things happen when good men do nothing. And the only way to expose darkness is to shed some light on it. But people are afraid. So with that said, let's look into what could happen with the three-letter agencies. We call them alphabet soup. ATF. Let's talk about them for a minute. What about the ATF? Under the Trump administration, they tried to just ban braces, and they still might be right now. There was a little stay put on. It was real convenient right before the election. Now we're in so much chaos. Don't forget about that. Don't forget about also that there's leaks right now that are pretty valid, been confirmed, that the Harris-Biden administration has already called the ATF and asked them, what are you guys going to start doing about, they call it this gun violence epidemic, right? These people are sick. They said, oh, we're already going after braces and 80% receivers. Now, 80% receivers is really just a made-up name. There's no like line in the sand that says this is 79 or 80 or 81%. It's either a firearm or it's not. So just keep that in mind. They're actually looking into right now. They're looking into it regardless. If Trump remains president, I believe and hope he will. We still need to be very encouraged by the chance he has. But if Trump remains president, it could still happen. It could. If Harris is elected president, it will happen. And keep in mind what I just said. These quote-unquote 80%ers, okay? They're not firearms. They're literally still a chunk of either steel or bent sheet metal steel in some firearms. Other firearms, it would be either a billet or forging of aluminum. that has some machining processes done, but not enough because there's criteria. See the boat we're in right now? It's gotten to the point where there's like, if you drill this one hole in this exact position, just by having a hole there, that constitutes a machine gun or it constitutes a firearm. Yeah. Now, the only laws that we need, and the only ones to me that are really just, the one comes from the 10 Commandments. And the 10 Commandments, it says, thou shalt not kill or murder, depending which version you read. It's already been illegal to murder way before this country was started. Then the other one says the right to keep and bear arms shall not be infringed. But we've gotten to the point now, and we've allowed it. Now, not just us. It's not like I'm giving you guys a guilt trip. Our parents and our grandparents and great-great-great-grandparents, we're fine with it too. So we can blame them. We can blame ourselves. We can blame everybody, or we can just get prepared. Basically, if you literally look at the logistics of it, we've gotten to the point where there's a piece of metal, okay? I'll show you something here. This is a piece of metal. This is not a firearm, okay? This is not a firearm. But somehow they've gotten us to believe and to be fine with it, and somehow people don't really care about this too much. If you drill a hole here and you did this and you did that and you did like 3 things to it, or maybe you had to do 29 things to it, there's this magic line when all of a sudden they start to call it an 80%, or no, it's just called it's not a firearm. So they're getting ready to ban something that's not a firearm. And I don't know, even if Trump stays in, if he can stop him. Trump's done a lot of good things. He's done terrible at reining in the rogue 3-letter agencies. He could. And I get it, though. You've had this flu for him to deal with. He was under an investigation by 18 angry Democrats and Mueller for a perfectly good phone call with the Ukrainian president. This China virus, he was impeached for doing nothing. So I get it in a way. He hasn't had time to do everything. I mean, just think how much he actually accomplished, though, with all that going on. Literally crazy if you think about it. Wow. But Trump has not reined in the ATF. Let's just put it that way, unfortunately. If the Harris-Biden administration is, I don't want to say elected, if they are put forth, if they are installed, if they are anointed into office by the military-industrial complex and by the liberal tech giants, the Fortune 500 companies, if they're just installed into power, which is what it would be, and there's a chance it could still happen. Very good chance, unfortunately. It's not only going to be like, well, Trump just didn't rein in the ATF enough. No. Biden-Harris will weaponize it and say, no, that's nothing. You're going to get rid of braces and 80%ers? If you want one of these 80%ers, there's different reasons you may want it, and I'll let you guys decide why you may want that. I get it now. Don't wait on those. Don't wait. If you want it, get it. I believe there's about a 90% chance they're gone, and here's why. Harris-Biden administration may get instilled, put into office. They're gone no matter what if they are. Literally no matter what, because the ATF's been allowed to go so rogue, they can just ban whole categories of things. Just because. Because they're our God and we worship them is what they think. I don't worship. I'm just saying that's what they think. They've had enough people comply to where that's basically what's happened. Even if Trump does stay in office for another 4 years, there's probably still about a 75% chance they're gone. So that's where I average it out, and I say, well, if I'm going to flip a coin on whether Trump, because I think Trump won, but whether he gets cheated out and they instill these new ones in or not, 100%. Trump stays, 75, 80%, they're gone. So there you go. There's about a 90% chance, 80%ers, and we'll be gone. It's just my belief. Because I read a lot of comments and I read a lot of chats, and heck, over half of the gun community, quote unquote, will sit there and say, why do you need that? You don't need that. That's stupid. Just be reasonable and they'll leave you alone, which I adamantly disagree with all of that. What you need. Anyone that tells you what you need and declares to you what you need and what you don't need, that's called a tyrant. That's called a totalitarian. It's called a dictator when someone dictates to you and says, put your left foot down. Now you're right. Now you're left. You only need 10 rounds. You only need this gun. You don't need. It's called a dictator. That's the root of the word. Someone who dictates to you. And of course, the federal government does a lot of that, and the state government does a lot of that, and a lot of the gun community does a lot of that. And I've seen a lot of the gun community that anytime these, quote, 80%ers come up, they say, why do you need that? That's stupid. Is this the hill you want to die on, they'll say. I don't know. But Rudy Finney's here. How's it going, buddy? Nice to see you, man. He said, sorry, I'm just joining and may have missed it in your conversation. My understanding is if neither concede, then the Senate, after all legal action, vote to decide the presidency. Not exactly. Okay, so there's courts. If there is no president that wins 270 electoral votes, there's no president-elect that does, right? It basically goes to the states, but it's not a straight vote up and down. It's not like if there's, let's just say there's 225 Democrats and 210 Republicans in the House. It's not going to be a vote like that. You'll take each individual of the 50 states. So Michigan, for example, we have more Republican representatives in Michigan than we do Democrats. So Michigan would actually get one vote to cast. The Republicans would get to cast that vote. I have to check the math, guys. I don't want to give fake news. It's just I don't have it in front of me. I believe right now in the 50 states, it's either 27 or 28 are, quote, Republican when it comes to this specific process. And then it'd be 22 or 23 are Democrat. So that's how that would work. But it's not just a straight up and down vote in the Senate. It doesn't work exactly like that, unfortunately, okay? Well, fortunately or unfortunately, because let's go look at the Senate. And I talked about this on a stream in my Patriot EDU channel. That's my other channel if you guys are interested. When I talk about more political stuff. And there's a runoff going right now in Georgia. See, Georgia has a rule that they made, a law that they made in the state of Georgia. This is a state law. And a couple other states have. And it's basically, it's not just the highest votes gets the Senate seat. If no candidate can reach the 50% threshold, then they have to have what's called a runoff. And indeed, that's what happened. Now, many people say Senator Perdue, which is the current sitting senator in Georgia, they say, well, he probably got it, but he was cheated just like President Trump was. And I get that. I'm just telling you what's going on right now. If these allegedly fraudulent, I don't know. I know there's something going on for sure. How many of them were just for the president versus down ballot? I don't know if they've ciphered through all of it yet, is what I'm saying. But they are doing a recount in Georgia, so that's a good thing. But as of right now, the way it stands with whatever happened in Georgia, a big mess if you ask me. Nobody made 50, so there's 2 Senate seats that are up for election. And if it's Perdue and Loeffler, then you know what? We have a chance. The Senate may block many or most or even possibly all gun control laws. But what I talked about in my stream the other day is I wouldn't be so sure because the Democrats always unite. They're way smarter than Republicans in getting their agenda passed. I hate to say it. Now, they're stupid because their agenda sucks. But if you only look at it as a bubble of what's it take to get your agenda passed, they're infinitely smarter than Republicans. And here's why. Every single Democrat will always vote for their core fundamentals. They always do. Joe Manchin, just forget about him. Joe Manchin does every single thing Chuck Schumer tells him to do. I get it. The state of West Virginia, Trump won by 50 points. They're 90% Republican, and they vote for a Democrat that will take their guns no matter what. I mean, that's just the way it is. But then you have senators like Senator Toomey in Pennsylvania. Do you guys remember the Manchin-Toomey bill that gets put up every year for about the last 8 years? That's the universal background checks bill. Do you guys remember the Lindsey Graham, the Republican senator that just got reelected in South Carolina? Do you remember his red flag bill that he actually had his name on top because he was one of the main ones that wrote it? Do you guys remember the Republican Senator Marco Rubio's red flag bill from Florida? Do you guys really consider Mitt Romney to be a Republican at all? I don't know. That's up for you to decide, you people in Utah. He voted to impeach the Republican president of the United States. Okay? Then you have the senator from Alaska. Murkowski's her name. She's about 50-50, whether she votes with the Democrats or the Republicans. Then you've got Susan Collins of Maine, who is almost equally votes with the Democrats as she does Republicans. And if I think of it, I'll let you know who else. But I just named about 6 or 7 or 8 of them right there that have either supported or written the darn gun control bill themselves with their names on the top of it. And all Democrats in the Senate will vote for gun control no matter what. And they always have. And they always will. Including Senator Joe Manchin and especially Joe Manchin. Look at the Manchin to me bill that's been put up for about 8 years in a row in the United States Senate. So if the 2 seats in Georgia switch to Democrat, we're totally screwed 100%. Because now not only will they be able to use executive actions to manipulate markets and just ban broad categories of imports, domestically made goods, just ban them outright. But they'll also be able to get actual legislation through if those 2 seats flip, because then it'll be 50-50 with, of course, the vice president, if it were to indeed somehow be Harris, gets to preside over the Senate in an event of a tie to cast the winning vote. And indeed, Mike Pence has done that a couple times in the last 4 years, including getting rid of the individual mandates for Obamacare. Do you remember that? It was a deadlock. Well, hold on, 2AEDU. How was it a deadlock? Didn't we have the majority in the Senate? Well, of course we have the majority in the Senate. And like I said, we have a bunch of flaky, milquetoast, lukewarm Republicans that aren't even really Republicans. They're called rhinos. It's called rhino, Republican in name only. The vice president had to break the tie in the Senate a couple times on key fundamental campaign promises of President Trump. If the vice president is Kamala Harris and she presides over the Senate, look out. Now, of course, if it's a split vote or if the Dems take those 2 seats, we're literally just screwed. Literally. And Kamala Biden win. Bye-bye. We'll be telling our kids, you remember when we had a Second Amendment? I'm not trying to scare you guys. I'm just saying, if you need some ammo, if you need an 80% receiver, I get it now. I don't see it going down in price like real quickly here, no matter what. Even if Trump ends up staying in office. Look, they've cheated him this far. I can't just automatically assume that he's not going to continue to get cheated, even though he did win. We're put in this situation right now where I have to clarify everything, or it's going to sound like I'm talking in circles, because that's the mess we're in, right? The Reptile guys with the super chat. Thank you. He says, we all need to find a way to get rid of mail-in ballots forever. Yep. I've been all over Oregon, and I think elections have been crap because of them. I completely agree. I actually think they're unconstitutional because they're not handled equally. So if you look at the 14th Amendment, and then you look at Bush v. Gore, when the Supreme Court decided that ballots had to be handled and treated equally, they actually gave ballots the 14th Amendment protection, if you will. This has already been decided. Ballots are supposed to be treated equally to each other, whether they were mail-in or in person. So I totally hear you, man. Rudy Finney with another super chat. Thanks a lot, man. I appreciate it. He says, that sounds right. Thank you. Good information to know. Yeah. So if nobody can become the winner of the Electoral College, that's what it will come down to. And that's actually a Trump victory. That is a path for Trump, literally a path. There's also faithless electors. So you could call Lansing, Michigan, for all you Michigan people, or pick your capital wherever you're at, right? You can call your legislators, your House of Representatives is what they're called in Michigan. You call your Michigan representative and say, I want you to send electors that will vote for Trump regardless of what the vote says. And they can. Except for it gets more complicated because the Supreme Court has decided in past cases, look, this is called case law. I'm with Catherine Henry on this. Constitutional lawyer Catherine Henry thinks that case law, for the most part, is unconstitutional. She uses it a little bit when she has to, because you kind of have to in this day and age, but she believes it's a bunch of crap, and I'm paraphrasing what she says, and so do I. But unfortunately, we're in a day and age where three-letter agencies define guns, and with Chevron deference, the definition and the interpretation of the definition holds more weight than the law itself. We're also in a day and age where a previous court's binding decision, Supreme Court's cases are always binding, by the way, highest court in the land, they call that case law. And case law and precedents many times means more than what the original law said and what the Constitution says. But with that said, 33 out of 50 states, the Supreme Court has already decided as precedents, case law, that they can't cast faithless electors. So the faithless elector thing will be very difficult. Unless, however, and I need to look into this further, it just happens to be that 3 or 4 of the swing states are amongst the 17 that can still cast faithless electors. And if that's the case, well, then he could win with what's called faithless electors. Which sounds like a bad thing at first. It's not them going against the will of the people. It would actually be if they thought that it was so corrupt and they thought that there was so much, problems with the election system, they would be saying, look, it looks like the majority of the people in Michigan wanted Biden, but we've seen so much fraud that we think they actually wanted Trump, so we will send our 16 electors to the Electoral College for Trump instead. That's another technical path. Or just getting votes thrown out, getting them recounted. There's still many paths. But this is called a mess. And when you have a mess, people react to it. I'll tell you what, I'm not just going to go and waste a bunch of ammo right now. So if you guys want ammo and you want more now than what you had before, I totally get it. And I think you're totally normal. It's just called being smart. Because I want more ammo now than I've ever had before too, even though I'm actually able to buy very little. But I do have some that I've set aside for the channel. And we'll see what happens. You guys leaving these super chats tonight really, really helps. My Patreon supporters, for you guys watching, you guys are also totally awesome. People that just mail me stuff. You guys are helping to keep this channel afloat because I own a small business doing landscaping, And I do put money back into the channel buying stuff. And I do have some really cool stuff to show you guys very soon. I'm going to do quite a few gun videos just back to back to back on this channel. And then just do some political stuff on my Patriot EDU for right now because I just want to talk about guns. It's like, man, I want to talk about the election and expose it. And I am going to keep doing that. But I just want to show you guys some guns so bad. And I have brand new guns that are just sitting there that I haven't had a chance to show yet. And here's how else you guys can help the channel without even spending a penny. Just tell your friends about it. Give it a thumbs up. If there's more interactions, the algorithm sees that, see? If you just leave me a comment that says thumbs up in it or good job or hi, even that helps, promote the video in the algorithm a little bit so we can get the word out. Of course, there's my Amazon link down in the description that costs you nothing. Just do your shopping like you normally would. Click on it, goes right through to Amazon. The channel gets a very small percentage, but heck, there's a couple hundred of you watching right now, and if a couple hundred people bought one thing, I could spend the $37 a box of ammo to do some testing on new 9mm that I have here that you guys might be curious about. So I'm not begging for money, but I am asking you guys to help me if you can. And there's things you can do that are completely free. And those of you that don't have the time or whatever, I understand too. I'll be here regardless. So I appreciate it, guys. So you're going to have to think outside the box a little bit. Okay? You can't let perfect get in the way of good enough. It might be time to pick a caliber of something you can actually find. I was talking to a friend the other day. This is an interesting story I want to share with you guys because, I say a friend real vaguely because I've got a couple hundred people in here who I wish I could meet in real life but consider to be friends. So another one of my friends, I'm going to pass this on. He said, you know what I did? He goes, I went to Cabela's the other day. He goes, and I bought a bunch of 7.62 by 54R. Now, me and him have been really good friends for a couple decades. And if you're watching, how's it going, man? He knows who he is. He says, I bought a bunch of 7.62 by 54R. He goes, but now I need to get a Mosin. And he wants one of those M28/76s. It's a Finnish one that has like a nice sporter stock, free floated. They were actually a competition model that the Finns used, where they upgraded their old Civil Guard rifles for competition, right? Kind of like our Camp Perry shooting. They have their own version in Finland, and world-class shooters. And Finnish Mosins are amongst the best. So he's talking about it. And then he kind of chuckles. He goes, you know what? I kind of put the cart before the horse, didn't I? Because there was a bunch of 7.62 by 54R available. Look, that's even harder to find than it was before. I get it. But a lot of that was available, right? Chuck R. did it for the llama. Well, thank you. Llama appreciates it. He's not cheap to keep up with. But I did get him some more supplies. And I do support the family that was Aunt Jemima. Little cameo for you guys here. Anyways, he said, dude, I bought a bunch of 7.62 by 54R, but now I got to get the Mosin. He goes, he laughs. He's a little embarrassed. He goes, did I just put the cart before the horse? I was like, yeah, yeah. And then I said, no, actually, I take that back. No, you didn't. You're actually really smart. I said, that's the smartest thing you could have done right now. Have you guys ever thought of it that way? Is that what some of you guys are doing? It's just an idea for you. Look and see what type of ammo you can get. Now, look, some of you guys have more than me. You've been doing this longer than me. I get it. But if you're new, or maybe you're not new, I know people that had fabulous gun collections, 10 times better than my own. Life sucks. They had a divorce. Lawyers got the money. They had to sell their guns. So it doesn't mean that you're new just because you don't have what you need right now. Maybe somebody got really sick family member, and they had to liquidate the collection. So it doesn't mean you're a quote new, but for whatever reason, if you do not have what you need right now and you're just getting into this, I think it's an excellent idea. Find the caliber first, get whatever amount of ammo you think you need, and then go after the gun second. Now, I wouldn't wait too long because all of this stuff is volatile. And the other thing is this, milsurps. Look, guys, we can't let perfect get in the way of good enough. There is no perfect out there. I get it. It sucks. But I don't want to just get on here and say life sucks, then you die, and we're all going to die tomorrow. I don't want this to be that type of stream. I'm letting you guys know the impending doom and gloom, but trying to discuss an out. And I know probably in the chat you guys are listing plenty of awesome ideas, and I hope you guys are, because that's really where I'm trying to, what I'm trying to do tonight. Is at the same time, let you guys know I've been there. I've been around the block, guys. This is serious. But we still have a couple of scenarios left that might be okay, right? They're not the best. So if you see that 7.62 by 54R is available, that's actually a good thing. It's an awesome cartridge. Awesome cartridge. Love it to death. Milsurps. Some go up a ton in price. Like if you look at like certain ones like a Springfield 1903, I get it. Does 30-06 have some advantages over 7.62 by 54R? Sure. But is 7.62 by 54R good enough? Hey, I'd rather have a Mosin in my hand, okay, than look at, I'm pointing over there because I can't touch what's over there, a 1903. Look, instead of looking at a 1903 in a museum or looking at videos of it online, I'd rather have a Mosin in my hand. Milsurps are a weird thing. Some of them, when they come in, they're cheap. I've said this a million times. Then when they leave the primary market, they always go up in price. So you may find right now, certainly in the last month, there's been a bunch of different options. But right now, you may find a Romanian Tokarev. It's called the TTC. Basically a Russian clone. It's going to take all the same parts as a Russian, a Polish, a Chinese, Plenty of parts available if you know where to buy them, right? Mainly from the Russians on eBay, quite frankly, if you need parts. The gun's a little over 200. The 7.62 by 25 is a very powerful round. The Mosin the gun, they were $99 7-8 years ago. Now they're $300. You know what? That might be what you're looking for. You might be looking for, they've got 7.62 by 54R at wherever your local store is. Check. Tell you what, I would not feel unarmed to defend my family. against a peaceful protest, against whatever it is, with the Mauser and the Gant. I'm not too good for those. I mean, they're one of my favorite guns, actually. I love them. I love them to death. 7.62 by 39. Again, awesome round. Certainly the AK is an awesome platform. The ARs, some of you guys are going to know more about that than me. From what I understand, there's certain bolts that are a little better than others, and there's certain magazines that work better than others. There's some little more nuances. The AR wasn't, quote, made for this round, but it's been out a while, and from what I understand, they've kind of sort of perfected it, you know. Politically independent says my father had a pre-banned Norinco Mac 90. See, that's pre-Clinton ban, yes. And they're excellent shooters, and I have them as well, and they're awesome. Now, the true pre-bans are pre-89, and those would be like your 56S, for example, 56S-1, your Polytex, your Legends, all those, right? Including the Kazner import Hungarians, SA-85Ms, if you want to go over to Hungary. There were a few true pre-ban AKs. But no, there are two bans. There's the pre-ban, there's the real pre-ban, pre-89. Okay, that's George Bush. That's what established no more than 10 parts, blah, blah, blah. People talk about 922R, all these things, right? And then there was the Clinton ban where he just banned all Chinese stuff, period. Well, then there was the 94 ban, and people call that pre-ban if it was pre-94, where all of these guns were banned from 94, and then it expired in 2004. But the current one that the Harris-Biden administration is planning doesn't have an expiration date, and it doesn't have a sunset because they learned. They've learned. That's why they've gotten so smart. They've gotten so smart because, see, and this is in their opinion, of course, not mine. They made a mistake. The Democrats said we gave it 10 years. And then old Newt got the best of them, right? You remember that? Newt Gingrich. It was called Contract for America. Newt and his contract got the best of the old Democrats. And they had an expiration date. Oh, they're still foaming at the mouth. They're still beating themselves in the head going, why did we make that mistake? And they promised there will be no loopholes the next time. There will be no sunset. We ban them this time. Dianne Feinstein herself said, if I had the votes, if I could have done it, I would have. Mr. and Mrs. America, turn them all in. That's what she said. And she meant it. So, like I said, I'm not trying to invoke a panic buy. It's the exact opposite. In fact, I couldn't even evoke a panic buy if I wanted to because there is none. I couldn't say, hey guys, you need to buy 10,000 rounds of 9mm right now because the world's coming to an end. First of all, I'm not trying to fearmonger. I'm just letting you guys know if you don't have, I get, because I think things are going to continue to get worse for a while before they get better, if they get better, and hopefully they get better. But if I said go buy 10,000 rounds of 9mm right now, you probably couldn't. Unless you're rich, and I don't think many of you are too rich. So what do you guys think? Have you thought about that? Is it smart in this day and age to actually buy the ammo first and then the gun? I think so. Seems like a pretty good idea to me anyways. Why not? It's not the way it used to be. And I started to talk about this earlier, and I almost forgot. You guys sidetracked me, but you leave good comments, and I'm reading them here out of the corner of my eye. Brian Stevens, yes, I do. I do have an MPIKM. 10mm, I'm not really into it. I think it's an awesome cartridge. There's so many cartridges out there, right? I've never gotten the chance to get into it. So I don't know. How much is it going for in Michigan, to be honest with you? Hopefully someone can chime in the chat and help you out, because I know a little bit about guns, but I can't possibly keep track of all of this. Don't forget about the 243. Plenty of LR 243s made out there. 243 is an awesome round. Yeah, don't ever forget about that round. Very, very good round. Deer, sniping, whatever. Just long range, period. Flat round, very fast. Yeah. How many rounds per firearm is reasonable? look, just make sure you have some. If you have none, you need to have some. So I think it's exponential, to be honest with you. I think between 0 to 1 round is like infinitely critical, right? And then up to your first 100 rounds. Your first 100 rounds are 1,000 times more important than your, let's say, 101st through 1,000th, okay? I think you guys know what I mean by that. You've got to have a few rounds to, if it's a new gun or it's new to you, you have to break it in. You have to test it. You cannot trust a gun, no matter what it is, no matter who made it. It doesn't matter. You have to shoot a few rounds through it. And then, of course, what good is a gun besides using it as a sharp stick or blunt object, which is what's also nice about the Mauser. It has an awesome bayonet, pig sticker type bayonet. Anyways, I don't know. No, it's an awesome question. I don't know what to answer that with right now, to be honest with you, because if I told you how many that, see, here's what's tough. I've had certain numbers in my head for a long time, and I would have told you prior to March. I would have said minimum 1,000 rounds per rifle, and if you had 10,000, that would actually be more where I want to be. And if you had 100,000, that wouldn't be too many, because to me, it's a personal decision. I don't want to be that guy right now telling you that you're inadequate if you don't have 1,000 rounds, because I know that could be like, you could have to sell your car to buy like 1,000 rounds of certain types of ammo. If money wasn't an option, okay, this is how I'll word it. If money wasn't an option, 1,000, okay, minimum. As close as you can get to that while you're still keeping your family fed and a roof over your head. You guys know the deal. You guys know how to take care of yourselves. Because again, as much as I'm talking about, like, get what you need, guys, I'm not trying to get you guys to panic buy at all. Like, the panic buying already happened so many months ago. I'm trying to help you think of ways outside of the box. Maybe look for the ammo first, then buy the gun. 243, 270, right? 280. There's tons of different nice rounds out there that are often forgotten about that are really good. Man, how many do you need? You need to at least shoot a couple magazines through the gun to make sure the thing works, and then fill up your mag and hopefully an extra mag for reload. You need 50 to 100 rounds. Like, if you want me to use the word need, okay? Of course, it'd be advantageous to have quite a bit more than that. So that's where you're at. Let's see who's in here. John Stokes, what's happening, man? Poor Conservative. How's it going, Poor Conservative? He knows a little bit about the governor. Ugh. They call her many things. I call her witless and many other things, but it's family friendly. So I'll just call her witless tonight. Just because I'm a nice guy. She doesn't deserve it. I just don't want your children that may be watching to hear me swear. So that's why I never do it on the channel. I like it to be a family-friendly channel. Now, Phoenix Ammunition did a 9mm drop not too long ago. I posted up about it, right? He did a 223 drop not too long ago. So there's still some. I'm not telling you guys there's none. The reason why there's no 9mm is this. Yes, they're still making it. I get it. But they'll make... Okay, I was in there watching Phoenix make the ammo. I believe he said, give or take, 200,000 rounds was made in that lot. It sold out in less than 5 minutes. So when 200,000 rounds sells out in less than 5 minutes, okay, that means there's virtually none. Because, look, for the people that bought it, that was awesome, right? So I can't say literally none, but I get it. I do. When you guys come in my comments and you're like, dude, I can find no 9mm ammo, I believe you. But that doesn't mean we're literally saying there's none, right? Penny Allen with the super chat. Thank you very much. I appreciate it. It says, thanks for what you do. Shooting talk, gun talk, ammo talk equals good times. Very much needed right now. And, you know, I thank you very much. I appreciate it. And it's kind of needed for me, too. I need to talk to you guys. You know, I'm a person just like the rest of you. And I hate this. It's like every topic I talk about is kind of depressing, but I'm trying to give you guys the silver linings. I really, really, really am. It's literally, we're in this situation. I think you guys can actually appreciate this. This is 2020 right now. So in the year of 2020, it's like If you're on fire, literally in front of me, you're on fire, would you want me to piss on you? Now, look, I'd never piss on you in a million years. But if you were literally on fire, I would. And I guess maybe you'd thank me later after you whip my butt. Like, you guys get the analogy? So I get it. I'm talking about all this doom and gloom, but I'm actually trying to help. I literally believe that through executive actions, okay, and 3-letter agency overreach, and look, Trump won, guys. He won. But whether he gets put in office or not and winning is no longer the same thing anymore. I'm very ashamed. Very ashamed that I took so much pride in my vote and learned that probably a dead person that I couldn't even see voted right in front of me and canceled it out. It was Veterans Day 2 days ago, and I put out a video thanking you guys, and it really ticks me off. All of you who served your countries in many capacities so that we can still vote. And it was such a sham. You know what ticks me off a lot more than you veterans watching? The ones that aren't watching this stream that can't watch because they died so that we could still vote. It really, really pisses me off. And it's a sham. And this country really sucks right now. But at the end of the day, just because there's laws and God-given rights still does not mean that they won't still install or otherwise put in the Harris-Biden administration. And if they do, I'm just letting you guys know. But here's the positive side of it, okay? I'm trying to spark the conversation, okay? I'm trying to give you some of my ideas. I've been around this a long, long time. I really do know. That's the good thing about me, guys. I'm not a Navy SEAL. I'm not going to teach you how to do some of the cool stuff some other people can, but I'm kind of eclectic. I'm into all these oddball guns, and I bought a bunch of them years ago when they were cheap. So I still do know a little bit about some of these weird rounds. And that's why I'm recommending things like 7.62 by 54R, 7.62 by 25, right? What about the Italian 6.5 Carcano? There's Carcanos right now that are really cheap. There's several places that sell used surplus guns. The 6.5 Carcano is another awesome round. Don't forget about that, for example. People are like, wait a minute, I thought 6.5 Creedmoor was the only 6.5. No. It's one of the newer ones. Amongst many other ones, 6.5 Swede. Look at those cheap Carcanos right now. I'm not even joking. Think about it. Mark Corby with the super chat. Thanks so much, man. See, some of you guys make me feel guilty. You're so generous, but I appreciate it. And as always, it goes back into the channel, and I hope you guys can see that. He says, what's up, brother? Happy Veterans Day to all the vets out there, and thanks for your service. Happy 245th birthday to all the Marines. God bless all the Patriots here this evening. Hope this helps too, eh? It does help, and I really, really want... Yeah. No, it does, and I'm just here thinking. I read a comment in my short little video thanking the veterans, and if you didn't watch it, thank you. And there was a short video especially for you all. Somebody said they went to the academy, Naval Academy. You know, this would be an officer, obviously, and they said they were burning their stuff, and that's their right. That's their right to do that. Their graduation diploma and all that. They just couldn't even believe it, how much. I don't know exactly what happened in their career, but the way they worded how much they gave to this country to watch this sham go on, and it does suck. It does suck. But that takes nothing away from any of the veterans out there. And as much as that veteran has the right to burn the history of his service and say, I'm ashamed I ever served, that's totally awesome, because that's what it means to be an American, right? That they can do that if they want to. But no, none of the veteran service was in vain. And there's probably veterans in this chat right now that can't even believe what's happening in this country and are appalled at it probably more than I am, right? So a lot of you guys have seen other parts of the world. Now, I've read about it. I've read about it as much as a lot of people have, but I haven't actually been there and live amongst it, and a lot of you guys have. A lot of you guys are out there right now. You're ringing the bells. You're sounding the alarm saying, we've seen this before. We've been to other countries, either at war or on peacekeeping missions. You know what else another veteran told me that I thought was very interesting? They said, this election looks like elections in countries where we used to go bring MREs over to feed their people. Because there's countries in the world that have become such shams and banana republics where their elections are so rigged that the people have no choice. And they just get dictated to for centuries now. In some cases, decades in others. And there's just the heir apparent where you're born in and it keeps passing down, and it's the cronies. Hate to say this, guys, but it actually comes back to the good old military-industrial complex. The military-industrial complex in the United States and many other countries. And they said, this election looks like the elections that are held in countries where our troops have to pass out MREs. Why are they passing out MREs? Because the people are starving to death. There's women and children and men alike that come up. Another veteran friend of mine said, I felt so sorry for this dog one time. He said he could have gotten a lot of trouble for it, actually, but he took one of those MREs and kind of slid it off to the side and opened it up and was portioning it off to one of the dogs that was in town. And then you know what he said afterwards? He said, either A, the dog gets to live another day, or it'll fatten up the dog a little bit for when we leave and one of the locals have to eat their dog. I know veterans that have been to countries where people eat their pets because A, they can't afford to eat, they can't afford to feed the pet. And then they have to eat it because they don't get food. And in Venezuela, they eat out of garbage trucks. And had many of the same software issues as Tap Rock and Roll explained in her video that she put out yesterday as used in the United States in 2020. That's where I'm lucky right now, guys. I am lucky that so many people have watched this channel. I know my channel's teeny compared to many and compared to most, but I get to hear all these good stories from you guys. And it makes you really sit and think about it, doesn't it? Now, it makes me think about it. You people actually telling me these stories that have been there, I can't imagine what you guys are thinking, but when people are like, let me just say it one more time. If you're mad at me for repeating myself, I'm sorry, but it's still not sinking into me all the way. Somebody said, I've served in countries and handed out MREs to people because their people were starving to death, and we handed them MREs so they could eat and not starve. And their elections look exactly like this one. This is why we have the Second Amendment. This is why we have the First Amendment. We have a government that's supposed to be among men. And it's supposed to prolong life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness and the will of the people. And when it doesn't, because the Founding Fathers predicted there would be a day where it wouldn't anymore, that it's all right to abolish it and form a new one. That's what the founding documents say. That's not me saying that. I mean, I'm paraphrasing it. They wrote it way more eloquently than I just worded it. But that's essentially what it says. And guns were part of this country before it was even a country. Because when Paul Revere did his famous midnight ride, he said the redcoats were coming. He didn't say the British were coming because he himself was actually British at that time. At that time, he himself was a Brit. The distinguishment wasn't whether you were British or American because there was no United States of America yet. It was the redcoats versus the colonists, right? The Sons of Liberty. He said the redcoats are coming, and it wasn't because of the tea. Now, the tax on the tea really ticked him off. It was called taxation without representation. And if you look in the main first founding document, the Declaration of Independence, it starts off with the beautiful language. Then it just lists all their grievances. There was dozens and dozens of grievances that they had against the king, and they tried it through diplomatic reasons or methods. They tried diplomacy. They really, really did. They wrote letters to the king. They tried to meet him in the middle. They tried to do this. They tried to do that. And they tried to do 1,000 different things. Then when they realized the tyranny wasn't going to stop and it was never going to stop, they had to actually get a little more physical. And when they were coming, the first shots, it wasn't over just tea alone. Trust me, that's just a small part of it. As if they were coming after their their batteries, their ammunition batteries. It was because of gun control. Now, was the political climate brewing for a revolution? Yes, it was. Did they have a whole list of grievances? Yes, it was. But what actually was the final thing that sparked it off? You've heard of places called Concord, Lexington? The redcoats are coming, and they're coming to take your guns. And they said, well, if we lose our guns, there's not going to be anything left. And there no doubt wouldn't have been, and we'd be British subjects. And I have some great viewers from Britain that I really like. No offense to them, and they completely understand it. They get it. Because the Brits that watch this channel are really cool, and you guys that watch this tomorrow will get it. We don't want to be Brits. We want to be Americans. Right? There's some good people over there, but no, we didn't want to be under the king and of the British Empire. They came after gun control. They came after the guns to confiscate them. That's literally what they did. Joe Biden said, if you elect me, I'll make Beto O'Rourke. My guns are. And as you know, Robert Francis O'Rourke said, yes, I'm going to take your AR-15, your AK-47. I hate to be the bearer of bad news, but that's what they told you they're going to do. Do you believe them? I don't know. I'm not telling you whether you should believe them or not, but I'm telling you this, no matter what. Enough people do believe them. I'm not telling you I believe them, by the way. Mine's not for sale, for example. I did a video a year ago and said, here's my AK, here's my AR, Beto, come and take it. It's on this channel. Just go back and look. It probably has 50 views on it. I don't know. But I'll tell you what, there's enough of your fellow American citizens that believe it enough where they're buying stuff in record numbers. So look outside the box. Look to the milsurp if you need to, the hunting rifle. See, people get caught up in this, and this is actually some bad advice you were given, and I get it. Not that anyone gave it to you bad at that time, but we were all given really bad advice for a lot of years. Do you remember when people say, get the NATO calibers? Get the NATO calibers, because if there's ever an SHTF situation, the NATO calibers will always be available. Always. And this is not an I told you so, because trust me, I have tons of 9mm 5.56. I like NATO calibers too. Trust me. I like American-made guns too. But I've always been eclectic in my ways, and I've owned guns from many, many different countries. But people rip on me. They'd be like, why do you want to get into that 7.62x54R? 7.62 NATO, otherwise known as 308, practically essentially the same round. They said, that'll always be available. That's a NATO round. Okay. 9mm. Why would you want 7.62x25? 9mm will be the most prolific there ever was. Forever and ever, amen. They said, go with 5.56. Don't get 5.45x39. Only have guns chambered in 5.56 because NATO ammo will always be available. Now, I'm not saying everybody lied to you with any kind of malice. I'm not even saying they lied to you at all. But we were all told stuff for years that simply ended up not being true. Because this is the biggest shortage I've ever seen on ammunition, and even, quite frankly, a lot of the guns now, too. Ammo more than guns, we can agree on that. This is the biggest ammo shortage I've ever seen, and the most impossible ones to find were the ones that you and I were both told for years would always be available. So, now I've always just liked the 7.62x25 because I think it's a great round, and I love a lot of the guns that are chambered in it, right? I've always liked the 7.62x39. I like the 5.45x39. But they said, if you just stick with NATO calibers, you'll be good to go. And boy, that couldn't have been further from the truth. And I get it. It sucks. And I'm not even saying that we can blame anyone, because I don't really think that 99% of the time when people did their YouTube videos, or you told your friends or your friends told you, I don't think anyone was trying to mess with each other. That's not my point at all with this. It's just that all the calibers we were promised and conventional wisdom said would always be here, those are the ones that are mission impossible, right? I think what might be a good video for some of you guys coming up here would be this. I have a video with my friend Gabrielle. We taped her getting a gun transferred. She actually didn't buy it. If you're watching, Nick, thanks again, man. She thanks you again. We're going to thank you again when we do the video. A viewer donated a pistol to her, a new gun owner. I couldn't believe it. Awesome dude from Michigan. I have video footage. I'm going to be compiling a video literally this weekend where we show what it's like to go in and get a gun. Do the 4473. Then her and I go out to the range and we take it apart. We field strip it. We do an initial cleaning, lubricating of it, put it back together. First shots. I think that video will help some new people too. Maybe it comes down to this. Let me know in the chat because I will go back and read all this later. I promise you, I read all of it, either while it's live or later. Do you guys want me to do like my top 5 guns or ones that I'm kind of have as my go-to right now? Would that help some people? I don't mean it as in like, look at me, this is what I have. You guys will actually be surprised. Let me back up. You guys know I have a good bit of guns. I've been buying them since I was 15. And at one time, look, I was into com blocks and milsurps before milsurps were cool, okay? American milsurps too, not just com block stuff. Used to get made fun of by all my friends. Why don't you buy this new AR-15? And I'm like, well, why would I buy the $1,500 AR-15? Because prices have flipped, right? When I can buy 5 AKs. Actually, it wasn't even like that. I didn't have $1,500 back then. It'd be like, I can save up for months $300 and get an AK. And then over the years, kept working more and more. Anyways, do you guys want, something like that? I don't know. Scotty Knuckles says no, he doesn't want it. So he says no, thank you. Candace Sharon says my faves and why. If it's something that helps you guys out, if you guys just like to see guns, I'll tell you what, some of the stuff that I have ready right now. Look, I'm not trying to go after anyone. I'm just working and living my life like you guys are. But if I had to defensively, as the saying goes, defensively hold up or something, you guys will be surprised what one of them are that's ready to go right now. And it's one that used to be so cheap. It was the cheapest of the cheap. And I actually have it right here. This particular one that I've used and shot quite a bit. I'm dead accurate with it. Let's put it this way. It's a rifle chambered in 7.62 by 54R that I paid $59 for like 8 years ago. So, I mean, that is a long time ago in a way, but it's kind of not. It just depends how you look at it, right? Yeah, the buying gun control is just insane. If you look at that, if he gets put in office, however means that would be. But like I said, even if Trump remains in, that's what I want, okay? But I'm a realist. I know he's far from perfect. Even one of the founding fathers said, but men are not angels. I believe it was Jefferson that said that. Jefferson or Hamilton, one of the two. If Trump remains president, there'll still be a couple things that'll get banned. I'm sure they will. Seems inevitable. But yeah, I look at the 80%ers, if that's something you like. Braces, I don't know about those because we'll just have to see. But it's not looking good. It's not looking good at all. They've already gone through. The ATF under the Trump administration is making arbitrary and capricious rules right now, saying certain ones can't be imported, like my Micro Draco over there, from what I understand, can't come in the country anymore. If they're too heavy and the magazine's outside of the grip and all these just... Somehow we've gone from the right of the people to keep and bear arms shall not be infringed. So now we can weigh the pistol and how long it is and what portion the magazine inserts in. Yeah. It's just logic. You guys already knew this. When they said they could ban one gun, basically that allowed them to ban all guns. Now, maybe not all at once. Maybe not all at once. Because if you threw the frog in the boiling water, it would instantly jump right out. But if you slowly heat it up, it's already dead before it realizes it heated it up. And as Hillary said with Benghazi, what difference at this point does it make? So they've told us. You guys know that. They've told us. They said, we want all your guns. They've literally said it now. It used to be it was thinly veiled and they wouldn't quite say it in public. Joe Biden said, Beto O'Rourke will be my gun czar. And Beto O'Rourke said, I will take your guns. Now, keep in mind, Joe Biden himself said, I'll take your guns when he was asked by, I think it was Anderson Cooper. Are you going to be going after guns? He goes, if it's an assault weapon, bingo. But then remember what I talked about a couple weeks back. Everything's an assault weapon. Your Taurus G2C would be an assault weapon that would require 3 $200 tax stamps. Now, I'm not saying you should acquiesce and say that, look, get what you need, do what you're going to do. I'm not your lawyer. I'm not a cop. Do what you got to do. Why would I care? I'm not going to ask anything. But at the same time, there is something to it. I hate to say it, having like a bolt action 5-shot Mauser the gun. Eventually they'll ban that too, but it may take many more years for that to get banned. I don't know. I hate even saying that because it's like I should be able to have whatever I want. I should be able to have that with an AK right next to it with an AR. Well, of course. But what's legal and what is are not often the two same things, right? They're not often one and the same. Who got the most legal votes for president may not be the person that comes in. So if you have none, get it now. I'll try to do a video showing you guys some of the stuff that I'm going. That's what I'll do. I'll do like my current go-to or my top 5 I'd recommend right now with a limited budget. This isn't going to be like my top 5 dream guns. It'll just be the 5 that I think would be best for me. That you'll make your own choices, of course, but I'd feel very comfortable recommending to you guys. There's the old shotgun, right? Pistol, rifle, bolt action, semi-auto. There's a few different, roles to fill. A few different things to think about. You've still got some options right now. One more time, if you just joined, none of this is meant to panic you. It's actually meant to encourage and try to brainstorm, and I hope there's a bunch of great brainstorming that's been going on in the chat all night tonight. Hopefully much better ideas than I've had. I just wanted to get the conversation sparked off. If your kids need food, you need your medicine, roof over your head. Yes, do all that first. Do not put yourself so far in debt that the credit card company owns your soul. Be reasonable with it. You guys have to make your own decisions. But with that said, get a little bit. If it was me right now, for example, if it was like, let's see here. Am I going to upgrade to a new fishing boat this year? Or if I'm going to buy extra ammo, I'm going to buy extra ammo and maybe a better boat next year or in 5 years or whatever, right? Maybe not in Michigan, because if we go on lockdown again soon, which I think we will, the governor's husband will be the only one that's allowed to boat. We're not allowed to use a motor. Remember this spring? He's out there yachting and sailing, and he's up north, and he's doing everything. So unless you're the governor's husband in Michigan, you might not want to buy a boat either anytime soon. America the Free with the super chat. Thank you. Where we go one, we go all, right? When we go one, we go all. I know I've got most of that right. You guys can laugh at me. I think it's where we go one, we go all. Yep. What's that thing? We can stand together or we can hang separately. Is that another way to word it? Let's see here. Seven Wonders has some more encouragement here. Again, everything tonight was nothing to do with me trying to tell you guys the election's over. In fact, she had a scheduling conflict tonight. I was originally going to have a guest on tonight. I think it'll still be just as pertinent and germane next week, right? But yeah, I'm going to have an expert, a.k.a. my friend, come on next week and talk about a lot of this stuff. So there's plenty more to go. I just thought maybe right now, as bad as it is, if you're kind of on the fence, look, don't just go blowing all your money. But if you're like, let's just say you've got your SKS, great firearm. I love the SKS. And you're like, I've got $100 right now. Okay. Should I go do whatever it is that you do for fun? Or maybe go on the Outdoor Limited, or I don't know. Again, I don't know who they are. Just wherever you would go. $8 a box, 10 boxes plus shipping. I'd do it if you can. If you've got the little bit of disposable income, I'd buy it. Here's why. Yes, it was only $4 a box just 8 months ago, but 8 months ago in the year 2020 is like 80 years ago. It's like lifetimes ago, right? Heck, I remember people actually didn't walk around with diapers over their face everywhere they go, whether they wanted to or not. Seen a lot of things happen this year that I was scared it could happen, but I didn't think I'd ever see. I guess I was naive, wasn't I? Maybe I was naive. Maybe I was just trying to be positive, because I am a generally positive person. But could this go back down to $4 a box again someday? Possibly, maybe. Doubt it. It doesn't seem like it ever completely goes back down. It could, though, and I hope it does. Is this going to go back down to what it was pre-flu in the next month, 2 months, 6 months? Heck no, not a chance. So that's where I'm at. Should you let your home go into foreclosure to buy this? No, don't do it. Don't, because I hate it. There's literally people that'll come on here. I don't hate the people. I just hate the message when they're like, I don't care what it is. If you have to let your kids starve and if you have to be homeless, buy 10,000 rounds of ammo. And if you have anything less than that, you're screwed. I'm just saying, look, it's not going to get any better anytime soon. If you have $100 in play money, or even $100 that, I might. Now, if you have no food in the fridge, buy $100 in groceries. Duh. I'm not going to give you any peer pressure on feeding your family. Now, one could make the argument, no, if I have no groceries, buy a box of this because I'll go and kill deer or elk or whatever. Now, that's awesome. But everyone, unfortunately, doesn't live in that type of area where they can live off the land. So, James Beltran with the super sticker. Thank you. I appreciate it. And it looks like you're doing some fishing right there, huh? I was talking about fishing and hunting, and it looks like it just popped up. Oh, yeah. See, he'll be doing all right. He'll be eating. That's a nice looking. Now, it's hard to see from here. Might be a perch. Now, you guys can laugh. It's actually teeny, but looks like a nice little guy chilling out there. SKS is an awesome firearm, though, guys. Totally awesome firearm. I would not laugh at you. Not only would I not laugh at you, it's like literally one of my favorite firearms I have. This is still available a little bit, okay? Again, this is not doom and gloom. It's available. $8 a box sucks. If you paid $3.80 a box for it this spring, awesome. Good on you. You saved a bunch of money by being prepared. But I wouldn't shy away from $8 a box because you think it's going to be cheaper in the next 6 months. That's the moral of the story. It could be $10, $12, $16, $20 a box. Ask Mateo about the prices of 6.5 Grendel. When it went up from 5 something a box to 6, 7, 8. I'm like, man, I'm out. Now that's around, he uses a lot more than I do. Okay, I'm going to focus more. Now, I do have 6.5 Grendel here, too. I have a case of it right down there. Another case over there, but I shoot some, but it's not my main. I'm more of a 7.62 by 39 guy. Not because I think one's better than the other. This is just a better cartridge for me, by far, because of the variety of firearms I own. When we were talking, I'm like, dude, it's $10 a box. I'm out. And he told me, he said, I'm not quite where I want to be. I'm going to buy some. And I didn't rip on him, but I was kind of like, ooh, that's a little harsh. Well, guess what? He did the smart thing, because now from the same place, it's $12 a box for Wolf 6.5 Grendel. I think it'll go up to $14, $16, $18, $20 a box. And this is a box of steel case 6.5 Grendel that was $5 and I think 19 cents or so 8 months ago. I could see it hitting 16, 18, 20 bucks before it finally plateaus, and then hopefully, but we don't know, but hopefully starts falling back down again. Yeah. So I've seen a lot of 7.62 by 54R that I think is still, the price has not gone up much. 7.62 by 39. Look, guys, I'm naming the Comblock calibers. Here's why. Because everybody told everybody for so many years, buy a NATO round, you'll be good to go. It will not sell out. Everybody took that advice, and it was probably great advice when it was given. However, since everybody did the same thing, those are actually the hardest rounds to get. So I definitely recommend, if you can, and I get it. Everyone doesn't have the money just to buy a new gun or whatever, okay? But if you have that old SKS that you got for cheap, or that old Mauser, I get it out. I clean it. If you have the old one packed in Cosmoline, clean it out. because those are good weapons. Those are very good firearms, and I would not be ashamed to run one if I were you. And if you're like, but wait a minute, man, this is if you don't have anything. You got me? I don't want to spend $8 a box for this. That's a bunch of crap. I'd buy a few boxes at $8 because I can see it going up to more. Especially if the Harris Biden administration is installed into office here in the next month or so. I think we can see a lot changing very, very fast. But the cool thing about it is we've still got a couple outs. We're not quite drawing to an inside straight yet. Are we closer to that than I'd like to be? Absolutely. Absolutely. But we're not quite there yet. I'm seeing a few things available. Heck, I even saw the plentiful 8x56R. 8mm by 56mm R round. You guys are like, what the heck is that? The old Steyr Mannlicher. Anyways. Or the 8x53R. Now, there's some real weird cartridges out there you guys are seeing. Trust me. Jared DeBoer with the super chat. Well, thank you. He says 3 most common phrases of 2020. Don't tread on me. Will not comply. 2A. Shall not be infringed. Bonus. I don't wear face diapers. And that should be your right to decide. Look, if there's people in here who are elderly, otherwise immunocompromised, or just want to, look, there's reasons some of you do. I get it, but I just don't want to be dictated to. That's what I meant by that earlier. I just don't want to be dictated to. Those are probably the 3 most common phrases, aren't they? You know what, though? Now it's starting to become stop the steal, fraud, rigged. But yeah, up until a week ago, definitely. We'll call it the top 6 phrases now, right? I think so. SKS, Mauser, 12-gauge shotgun. Look, I'm not a huge shotgun guy, but I do like them. I wish I could show you guys how to make your birdshot act a lot like a poor man's slug, but that's been completely and utterly banned off of YouTube, so I can't do it, unfortunately. For some reason, I'm just thinking to myself, if I had some 7.5 birdshot, and I had this, I could possibly. You guys know what I'm talking about, don't you? It's such a taboo to even talk about it on here. Susan's going to be going through the algorithm because I'm like, because of this. She's waiting. She's going, sorry, Susan. But if I had some 7.5 birdshot and I had one of these and didn't have a lot of money, I'd feel pretty well armed. These guys are like, the new guys out there watching this, they're going, what the heck? He's going to shoot his candle? I don't know. Maybe. Or maybe I'm going to do something else. James Belchin, yes, as a perch, 12 inches to be exact. That's what I thought. It looked like a nice perch. I could see the striping down the side of it there. Nice. Nice, man. What are you guys doing? Are you guys hunting and fishing or getting yourselves ready? Up north? Knows what I'm talking about a little bit. No, I'm kind of being dramatic about it. But with JB and water too. There you go. Thorns on the roses. Anyways, I'm being a little dramatic about it, but I'm being dead serious. There's a couple secrets you can do that you're not allowed to talk about on here. Ask Iraq veteran. 8888 had to take down his videos that had millions of views. That were awesome service to the community. Some old tricks of the trade are not allowed on here. Could I send a mass email to us with instructions? It's not that even that crazy. It's just literally YouTube. You're banned from even saying it or showing it. Yeah, you guys are basically kind of in the same boat as I am. It looks like you guys are trying to be pretty optimistic. That's good. That's good. People are saying turn off the TV. But somebody said they're watching me on their TV too. Do any of you guys watch me on your TV? Like, what is it called? Casting it? I don't know. Yeah, Chuck R is happy to own different calibers. It's such a fine line, guys. I'm not going to be the guy that says like, hey, it's all right. Just don't do anything. Just be a freeloader. Rely on us to help you out. No, you need to take care of yourself and your own family. And I think most of the people that are here know that. But I'm also not going to be the one to guilt trip you and say, if you do not have 10,000 of each round and 100 magazines, you're not allowed to hang out with me. I'm not going to be that guy either. I'm not. You need enough to test the firearm. Make sure it works. And then whatever amount you think you might need, because I don't know how many I need, because I don't know what the scenario would be, right? It'd be nice if we could start talking about what we want, because what I want to do, and it seems like I've worked hard enough in life to be able to do it, but I'd like to just go out there with 1,000 rounds of 9 guilt-free and just blast them for 8 hours straight just because I want to. But right now, again, I don't think we can let perfect, completely and utterly get in the way of good enough. And most of us and many of us can't do that. Is there any Tokarev fans in the house? I don't know. I will tell you this. Those Tokarev pistols, once they're totally gone off the primary market, they'll go up in price. They've jacked up the price a teeny bit on them, but not much. I think before the flu, they were like $219, and now they're $239. And that might not even really be a flu price. It's just sometimes, the imports, as they start to dry up, they do slowly raise. I know a lot of guns I bought for $60, $70, $80 are worth $200, $300, $400 now. So don't ever forget about that. A milsurp, especially if you can actually use it for whatever reasons you need to, for fun, defense, hunting, eating. It's usually a little bit of a nest egg and investment too. Is 5.56 worth buying? It's worth buying if you can get it. Yeah. I'm glad you actually said that. Don't let anything I said all night be construed that you should not buy any 9 or 5.56. I'm just going by. I'm getting comments by the hundreds every day from this site and other ones, saying I can get none. I cannot get any 9. I cannot get any 5.56. They'll say. So this is assuming you can't get, or it's just so expensive you just can't afford it or don't want to get, bent over on it, right? That's what all this was meant to say. If you can find 9mm for something even close to a reasonable price, we'll get it. It's a great round. I like 9mm. It's one of my favorite rounds. Everything I was saying tonight was just alternatives in case you can't get the NATO round, because everyone was told that they'll always be available, and that's what everyone should buy, and everybody did, and that's why they're now impossible to find. Somebody was asking me something about a Mauser in here. I saw it. I was going to answer it, but it skipped on me. 5.56 is a fine cartridge, though, Dan. 9mm is a fine cartridge. This is for the person that can't get any. And I believe you guys when you say that. Trust me, I get it. I'm going around to a lot of these sites just checking and checking and checking. And I know you guys aren't lying to me. I know that for a fact. Somebody had a Mauser question. I really like the Mauser a lot. Really, really wanted to answer it. Jem got some from Phoenix Ammunition and said, thank you for letting him know. Well, no problem. I need to get hold of Justin. I know he's very busy. This is the worst possible time for an ammo manufacturer with the craziness. I really want to do that follow-up stream with him. So he's probably too busy making ammo to be watching. But if he's watching later, Justin, we got to do that stream. He's like, no, don't send me any more business. I can't keep up. He sold 200,000 9mm rounds in 3.5, 5. It was less than 5 minutes. I think he said 3.5 minutes and it was gone. 200,000 rounds. Isn't that crazy? He would like to make 1 million rounds a day if he could, but it's really hard to get small pistol primers. Very hard. I think we're at a wash with reloading. Here's the deal. Reloading. It's awesome. A lot of guys do it, but the reloader is not any better off than the new guy. If you're new into reloading right now, you're just as screwed as the guy that's new into buying ammo. It is harder to find many components. Let's say the number one hardest to find, small pistol primers. That's harder to find than a completed 9mm round. So if you're just getting into reloading, I think you're actually at a disadvantage. Now, here's the other argument I often hear made. People say, well, you should have been in the reloading and you wouldn't have been short. Well, yes and no. There's definitely many arguments to reload, for reloading, and why it's totally awesome. So I have nothing against it. But it's not quite what a lot of reloaders want to lead you to believe it is either. I'm just going to give you that to give you some encouragement. There's this presumption that if you reload, you have endless components and that you don't need to buy components and that you will never run out. And that's just not true. Now, there's a guy out there that's like, nope, I'm making my own gunpowder, the saltpeter, the blah, blah, blah. I'm taking matchsticks. Okay, I get it. Unless someone's playing like really nuanced, like pedantic, devil's advocate, you're not literally making your ammo from the ground up. We all know this. You're buying components. And there's many reasons to reload ammo. Many reasons, including match grade loads, hard to find rounds, just making it exactly how you want it. There's a million awesome reasons to reload. But having an endless supply of ammo that you will never run out no matter what just isn't true. So I got into a little bit of a debate with a guy. I'm only telling you guys this. Hopefully there's no reloaders thinking I'm arguing with you guys. That's not what it is at all. Because I like reloads too. Some reloaders will present this argument to you. They'll say, you should be into reloading and you'd never run out of ammo. And I said this to a guy. I said, oh, really? I beg to differ. And he goes, what? I can make my own. I can get an unlimited amount. I said, oh, really? And he goes, yep. I said, well, are you going to run out of components? He goes, nope. I have 10,000 small pistol primers. I said, all right. And this is us going back and forth. I said, I have 10,000 completed, ready to go, 9mm rounds. I said, so we're even. He goes, no, we're not. I'm a reloader. I said, oh, really? Go buy yourself another 10,000 primers. He's like, I can't. He goes, you go buy yourself another 10,009. I'm like, I can't. I'm like, so then we're even. He goes, no, we're not. This guy literally tried to argue to the end. I said, I have just as much completed ammo as you have primers. I said, so we're even. The only difference was actually, this is a totally separate argument. I'm a little ahead, actually, because mine are ready to go right now. It's going to take him time to make his. But whatever, we'll call that a wash. I said, we're even. You have to buy components. You have to buy components that are not available. And every time there's an ammo shortage, every single time, and I've been doing this a long time, the primers are always sold out everywhere as soon as the ammo is. Primers, people make runs on primers, not the same as they do regular ammo. They make the run on primers faster than the ammo. The primers always sell out first whenever there's any kind of ammo shortage. Moral of the story is this. Reloading ammo, hand loading, custom loading is completely awesome in many different ways. It's awesome. I have nothing against it. Just to encouragement for you people out there where the reloader guy wants to like condemn you for it. No. And vice versa. I don't think people should be condemning reloaders because they can't get primer. Like we shouldn't be condemning people. But that's what people do because this is the internet. And they're all tough in mom's basement. And yeah, I don't even need to go on to the rest of it. But yeah, reloading is great for many reasons, but it's not going to get you out of this jam right now. I wouldn't, in other words, go spend $1,500 on reloading equipment right now if I was just going to make a bunch of 9mm. Not to get myself out of the ammo shortage anyways. I'll tell you that right now. Finished 9mm ammo is 100 times easier to get than primers. So, but those of you that are reloading, that's awesome. It's basically like this. You could have either spent the money, let's face it, rounds like 9mm. Here's what I'm really getting at with the whole reloading thing. This right here. Even to a point, this was $8 a box. You're not really reloading this cheaper than $8 a box, okay? Really? So, if you bought 10,000 rounds of this and had it just sitting there, or you bought 10,000 primers, or if you bought 1,000 of these, or you bought 1,000 primers, I think you're basically in the same place. You know what I mean? 124 grain, new brass load, okay? You're not gonna Somebody somewhere is going to say they're gonna, but I don't know. I don't think so. With new brass, I don't think you're going to really be loading this up. Let's just say pre-flu. Pre-flu price. If you bought this by the 1,000-round case, you got it for about $8 a box. I don't think you're going to be loading 124 grain with brand new, never fired cases. I don't think so. I don't think you're going to be loading this for 16 cents a round. You might break even, but then your time's worth nothing, and you pedaled your bike there and didn't spend gas to go to the store. I mean, it gets real. Yeah. When it comes to plinking ammo, reloading versus non-reloading is kind of 6 of one, half dozen of the other. But this is the gun community, and we're always going to be divided in the comments of YouTube videos, so I'm really not super surprised that there's these huge wars right now over if you don't reload, you're an idiot. Well, I don't know about that. I am going to get out of here in 1 second, and that was my main thing that I did say. I said that right away. You could argue you can make higher quality ammo, and that's what I said right off the bat. And that's one of the main reasons many people should reload. And you can do the oddball calibers, and maybe you just love doing it. Now, some of the expensive big calibers, you'll definitely save money. I'm just saying, you're not going to, like, if you think right now your answer to cheap plinking 9mm range ammo is to get into reloading right this second, I wouldn't do that right now. I would just get you some, and then when things level out, because you're not going to find small pistol primers. That's all I'm saying. There she is. I was hoping I'd see you tonight. How are you doing, Michelle? I hope you're doing good as you possibly can be. As good as anyone can possibly be doing right now. 2020, it's called. I was hoping I'd see her, though. I'm also happy to see Candace. I'm happy to see Mateo. He's always helping out a lot. Of course, JBN. Travis Eden saying saw a 9mm at the show for $50 a box. That's my point, Travis. I don't know what people should do. Travis, you may have 1,000,000 rounds, so I'm not talking to you, but you just got your new Taurus G3C. You have none. You have no ammo. You can't find it online at all. It's $50 a box at the local gun show. That's probably just FMJ if I had to guess. I don't know. Because there are people telling me this. They're saying, I literally have none. There's people telling me they've already gotten rid of their gun that they purchased during the flu. They've already gotten rid of it because they had none. I don't know. You're going to have to save up $100 and buy 2 boxes, I guess. If someone wants to know my advice. And I know Travis isn't asking me this. You just gave me the opportunity. That's what you're going to have to do right now. Now, $50 a box for 9mm. Don't buy 1,000 at that price unless, again, you have to. You'll decide. Now, someone's thinking to themselves, I'm a nuclear engineer. I make $300,000 a year. Now, if you're that guy, but they can be poor too. They might have medical bills, or everyone's scenario is different. And I get that. If you're in the scenario where you could go spend it and you need 1,000, that's fine too. Okay. I'm very, very liberal when it comes to that. I'm very open to different people having different. Notice I said liberal. I don't mean liberal as in like the political ideology of 2020. I mean like actually using the word properly. I'm pretty liberal with that. I think most people know what's best for them. You know where your financial situations are. But you got to have something. You got to have something, man. You know? Even if you're poor, you're going to have to buy it. You're going to have at least 50 to 100 rounds. Would be the bare minimum. I could see somebody having, what if ammo stops being made? It could happen. It could happen. It could. I'm not saying it will. I doubt it will. But it could. Of course it could. I mean, reloading would be totally awesome then. But here's the problem. Any law that would be out there that they could enforce somehow or another, okay? Somehow or another, that would make it where finished ammo is illegal and you can't buy it, you can't get it. Trust me on this. The primers are gone immediately. They ain't going to make it where, hey, they don't realize it. Buying ammo is banned, but we can still buy every component and roll our own or crank them out ourselves or whatever you want to call it. So, but look, I'm not trying to end the night on that type of note. I don't think right now they're going to ban all ammo, but Biden did promise a 50 cents, I believe it was, per round tax on ammo. So he'll tax it out of the hands of the poor. Basically to become a de facto ban. If you're poor, it's banned. If you're middle class, you'll be able to buy a little bit. If you're upper class, look, really high class, the millionaires and billionaires, for the most part, especially the billionaires, they don't have to follow laws anyways. They are the military-industrial complex. So, of course, they don't write the laws or don't follow the laws. They write the laws. Big tech and the rich people do write the laws. One thing I always agree with Bernie Sanders on. Terrible, terrible politician. Not much I agree with him, but he used to always say the millionaires and the billionaires write the laws. But he's a hypocrite, and here's why. Because when he became a millionaire, he dropped that. Now he just says, the billionaires. Because he became a millionaire himself. He's garbage. He's a garbage politician. But that's one thing that when Bernie Sanders would say it, I'd say, you know what? That's one thing I will agree with him on when he'd say, the millionaires and the billionaires are the ones writing all the laws. Well, duh. Isn't that the American way? Paul Sharon with a super chat. Thank you, man. He says, I'm here just having a quiet night. Or as Candace says, you're just lurking. Oh, there's a lot of people that lurk, which is awesome. But if you're lurking, don't forget to hit the thumbs up, guys. It really does help. And if you're lurking, I don't care if you come forth or not, but you can... Say hi if you're lurking. That's all good. I like seeing you guys. And I really do go through here and read all these afterwards. I enjoy reading them, actually. I'm sure you guys gave each other tons of advice, and I hope you guys had a good time hanging out tonight. Dan Colville, how's it going, man? Brasser, what's he up to? He said, I made a lot of primers, and they have never been as good as factory ones. And I have seen you make those. Brasser would be one to know. He makes his own... I don't know to what extent, but he makes firearms, from scratch, literally. I know he's at least made one or two. He makes his own primers. He's literally done it from scratch. They don't work as good. Now, is it resourceful to actually be able to do that? Is awesome. Because it comes back down to this. You can never let perfect prevent you from good enough. So, Brester's going to be feeling better than me if all my ammo's lost in a boating accident otherwise. He has the knowledge to do that right now that I don't. So would I rather have some ammunition that I loaded with match heads, right, as the primers? And let's say Brastard's like, ooh, this doesn't feel good. When I pull this trigger, there's only like a 80% chance it's going to go off. Let's say it's even a 50% chance. Hey, I'd rather be in his shoes than if I had none. So it's a very, very good thing to know how to do. But that's still not an argument for the fact that the person says they'll never run out of ammo because they'll make their own supplies into perpetuity. And I don't think that's... I think Braster was actually agreeing with me when he said that. But it's still an awesome skill to have. 9mm Makarov is another good one. Oh, yeah. Oh, boy. The Michigan governor. Somebody's talking about the governor. Would that mean it's match ammo? Good one, Evan. It's called match ammo. Ladies and gentlemen, we have here match ammo. Strikes on the box. Bastard's going to be pissed. He's like, dang it, dude. I could have made like a quarter of a primer with that, right? This is your match grade ammo. You saw it here first. All right, guys, I've been on for over 2 hours. I have no idea how. I thought I was going to look up to take my 1 hour break, but I realized I've been already on 2 hours. So I think you guys are getting kind of tired. And what's happening, Rick? How you doing, man? Denny's plant-based, going to bed. All you guys are going to bed. And I'm getting ready to finally go get some dinner because I worked all day. All right, guys, I'm out of here. It's been fun. We'll talk about some more positive stuff next week, like rigged voting software algorithms or something like that. But we'll have fun doing it, I promise. All right. Thanks for watching, and have a good one.